Good evening, everyone. Please, if you can hear me, let me know in the comment section. Can you hear me, please? Please respond. Nobody's responding. And okay, thank you. You can hear me now. Thank you so much. Let's continue with the class. Welcome to today's session rather. Welcome to today's session. My name is Samantha. Last week we completed and I am a seasoned English and writing coach, a certified professional, and a licensed I am quite audible. I don't know why a lot of people are saying they can't hear me. Okay. I don't know. If you can't hear me, please fix your internet connection. I am quite audible over here. I am quite audible. I don't like the way we are going back and forth about this. Many people can hear me. I don't know what's happening. If you can't hear me, please fix your internet connection. I want us to start as soon as we can. We have a lot of things to learn, and yeah, I am audible. I don't know what's happening. If you can't hear me, please fix your internet connection. It is not from my hand. So, the first secret you're going to learn tonight is that every comprehension passage that you will come across in the use of English has a setting. Every comprehension passage that you will come across in the use of English has a setting. I just said that every comprehension passage in UTME has a setting. What is the meaning of a setting? How does it help? What does it imply? First, when we talk about comprehension, we are talking about a piece of writing addressing a particular issue or a short piece of passage passing across a piece of information on a particular subject. I'm coming, please. I would like to see your responses. So many people are saying they can't hear me, and I don't know why. Because my internet connection here is good. I am using my laptop and the MiFi at that. So I believe you should hear me, but I don't know why a lot of people are complaining. I would like to see your. Yeah, I can hear you properly. Then what is the issue? I think I'll have to go on. If you can't hear me, fix your internet connection. The issue is not from my end. I am speaking loud and clear over here. So, first, when we talk about comprehension, we're talking about if at any point you cannot hear me and your internet connection is secured, that is addressing a particular subject or a short piece of passage, which is passing a piece of information on a particular subject across. And the idea behind this is explained in that passage. And in the passage, the author aims to see how well you can comprehend the given information in the passage. So, let me break that down. A comprehension passage is a piece of writing. A comprehension passage is not okay. A comprehension passage is not spoken. It is not spoken. It is a writing, a piece of writing that addresses a particular subject. It focuses on a particular subject. It focuses on something spectacular. A comprehension passage cannot talk about everything in a single passage. Rather, it talks about just it talks about just an idea in that passage. And when we're talking about a comprehension passage, it is a short piece of passage. It is short. Most of the times, comprehension passages are not very long. They are not long pieces of writing. No, they are very short. They go straight to the point. And anytime you read a comprehension passage, you should be able to understand the idea behind that passage. And the aim of a comprehension passage is to show you the author or to show how well you can comprehend the given passage. What they need is your comprehension, as it implies comprehension passage, understanding, your comprehension, your understanding about a language, about the passage rather. So, what you need to know to prove to the writer that you understand the passage is for you to have it at the back of your mind that every passage has a setting. Every comprehension passage that you come across in the English language, it is not limited to the use of English alone. Every comprehension passage has a setting. I hope you are with me, please. If you are with me, please say something in the comment section. Every comprehension passage has a setting. Every comprehension passage that you come across in the English language has a setting. So you need to know that each passage you are reading has a setting. We are moving on. If you do not understand the setting of a passage, it will be difficult for you to understand the whole passage. That is just the fact. I'm trying to listen to myself over here to be sure that you can hear me. Okay. um everything is perfect. So every comprehension passage has a setting, and if you do not understand the setting of a passage, it will be very hard for you and very difficult for you to understand the whole passage. Please, as you are following me, I want you to be dropping different comments in the comment section for me to know that you are truly with me. If you see that a point I made is very striking, you can drop a comment for me in the comment section. So, from the way a writer puts up a comprehension passage, the information contained, how the writer starts and ends the passage, plus the arising plus the arising questions, will help you to understand how the setting of a particular passage is working. The first thing I said is that every comprehension passage has a setting. You have to put that in mind. And for everything I've been saying, I've been telling you every comprehension passage has a setting. I know you might be wondering what is the meaning of a setting. So we are going to move to that in a few minutes. But I need to let you know, I need to establish the fact that every comprehension passage has a setting. So we are moving on to what a setting is. What is a setting? What is a setting? Now you can see it on my screen. You can see it on your screen rather. A setting is a place or a type of surrounding where something is positioned or where an event takes place. So we can liken that to the fact that a setting is the place where the compression passage takes place or is taking place. Thank you for your comments. Please drop your comments on the broadcast. So where the compression passage or where the actions take place in the comprehension passage. Thank you, Zainab. I need to correct something. Okay, you can see that every comprehension passage has a setting. So that aside, a setting is the time and geographic location within a narrative, either non-fiction or a fiction. That is the it is a time. It can be a time, the time where the actions in the comprehension passage is taking place, or the location, the place. So I've mentioned two striking points now that your setting can be a place or the time. Please, if you understand, drop me messages on the broadcast. If you understand, the replay will be available. Don't worry. Although I don't like the fact that we went through all this at the beginning. So it could be a time, or it could be related to time, and it could be related to a place. And when we talk about fiction and non-fiction and fiction, that is, the play can be real or unreal. The passage can be real or unreal. The compression passage you'll be given might center around events that are real, and it might center around unreal events. All that matters is that you have a comprehension passage. And the setting indicates the main backdrop or the mood for the story. I'm going to explain everything. I'm going to explain everything in details, but I just want us to have the idea of what a setting is. So if I should ask you now that what is a setting, you should be able to tell me that a setting can either be of the the place of the the place where the actions in the passage takes place, or the time of the actions in the passage. We are moving on to, you need to consider the mood of the writer. The other time I said the setting helps to amplify the mood of the writer. So you need to consider the mood of the writer. The mood is the feeling that the writer is trying to evoke in the readers. Anytime you read a piece, anytime you read a write up, there is a kind of feeling you have while reading. It can be a feeling of happiness, it can be sad, it can be angry, it can be can be angry. I said that your setting, I'll revert now. Your setting is a place or the type of surrounding where something is positioned or where an event takes place. And I further said that your setting can be the geographic location or the time within a narrative, the time the passage takes place, the location of the passage. So what I'm trying to say in essence is that you need to know that in a in a passage, in a comprehension passage, you have a location and you have the time. You might not have a time, the time might not be specific, but there are some words that will be used that will indicate the time. They can't tell you, the writer can't tell you that mm, the time of this passage is in the afternoon, the time of this passage is 4 o'clock in the afternoon. No. But when you see words like evening, morning, you should know that this passage takes place in the morning. This comprehension passage, or the event in the comprehension passage, takes place in the morning. So you might most likely not see words like 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, but you would see words like the sitting room. The You might see words like sitting room, the office, the church, the society. So when you see words like sitting room, office, church, what are these words indicating? Are they indicating time or place? Please, I want to hear from you. Words like sitting room, office, words like sitting room, office, church, game reserve center, etc. What are they indicating? Are they indicating the time or the place? Please drop your comments in the. I'm waiting for you. Place, thank you, Temiloluwa and Olaloa. Kudos to you, kudos to you. When you see words that are pointing to places, you should know that that is a setting of a place. You would necessarily not be told that this thing is happening by 9 o'clock. No, but you should know that from the words you can see from the comprehension passages, you should be able to denote the place. Now, words like morning, afternoon, dawn, noon, what are they indicating, please? What are they indicating? Words like morning, afternoon, evening, night, what are they indicating? Time, thank you. So, you should watch out for words that indicate time and places in the comprehension passage. So the mood of the writer can simply be likened to the emotions that the writer is trying to evoke in you as a reader. When you read a comprehension passage, you can get feelings like calmness, anger, happiness, etc. Those are the mood. So you need to consider the place where the passage is taking place. Now, in my on your screen, you can see it. For a place, the setting could be simply descriptive, like a lonely cottage or a mountain, or uh, a luxury apartment. That's a mistake. It's a luxury, not an luxury. So the setting can be descriptive. Now, the other time I said evening, morning, the writer might not tell you that evening, might not even use words like evening, morning, the parlor, sitting room, bedroom. No, rather the writer might go ahead to use words like a lonely cottage. So when you know that he's referring to a lonely cottage, you know that he's talking about a place, or on a mountain. It is talking about a place. A mountain is a place. A luxury apartment is talking about a place. So as a person, you really need to be smart about these things. You will not be told point blank that this passage is taking place in a room. No. But words will be given to you that will help you to note these things. Now, it could be social conditions, historical period or time, geographical location, weather, immediate surroundings, and timing, that are all different, that are all different aspects of the settings. I hope if you are with me, please, I want to see your comments. I can't really feel your comments in the comment section. So, what I'm trying to say in essence is that your time and your place are important when you're reading a comprehension passage. And it could be a weather. When you let's assume you received, or you were given a comprehension passage about the weather. When you see the weather, let's assume the writer is not even diving deeply about the weather, but the the writer can describe the passage might not be talking about the weather conditions, but if you are very careful, the writer might use words like in this cold or in this autumn period. You should know that he's describing the time of you know that it's describing the time of the passage. I don't want to dwell more on this time. Our time is fast spent. So there are three major components to setting, or there are three major components of setting. I prepared this slide hurriedly, so I don't really have time to edit, but I'm just happy I prepared it. So there are three major components of settings. We have the social environment, the place, and the time. Now, when we talk about the social environment, we're talking about the surroundings of a passage, the surroundings of the passage. Talking about the surroundings, it could be the description of the place or the time, and it could also be the description of the society. See, this thing is very, very deep. The writer might not even necessarily use any words that will indicate your time or your place. No, but the writer might use, for example, let's say the writer is talking about the archaic periods, like the William Shakespeare period, the Williams Wordsworth period, 1960, during independence. When you see words like this, they are referring to social environment. When you see passages that are referring to olden days, it is also a component of settings, but that setting is mostly dependent on the social environment, which is also synonymous with the time. Please, if you are with me, kindly drop me a comment in the comment section. Also, it can be the time and the place. Time is when the passage is taking place, or when the passage took place, while the place is where the passage took place. I believe with everything I have said, I have explained and explained on everything you need to know about timing, about settings. Do you understand, please? Is this clear enough for you? Is this pellucid enough for you, please? Is this pellucid? I need to know. Thank you, everyone. So we are moving on. We still have like 36 slides. So there are various ways that time and place indicate setting. Time can cover many areas, such as the character's time of life, the time of the period, future. The place simply be referring to the particular location of the characters. in the passage. If you do not understand the setting of a passage, it will be difficult to understand the whole passage. Because if you don't understand the place or the time of the set of the passage, how do you want to understand the writer's perception? It will be hard. It will be hard for you. And I'm glad to read your comments. From the way the writer puts up a comprehension passage, the information contained, okay, how the writer starts, okay, I guess this is a mistake. Okay, it is not a mistake. It is not a mistake. So, in short, you'll be able to understand the setting of the message of a passage if you understand the setting of that passage. For example, most passages are fictional stories. Some are set to address the current happenings in our society. Please, I hope you know the meaning of fiction and non-fiction. Do you know the meaning of fiction and non-fiction? If you don't, I'll quickly explain. I asked the question and no one is responding. Can you hear me? Are you with me? So let me quickly explain what a fictional writing is. A fictional writing is imaginary. It is imaginary, a made up story. It is not real. So your passage can either be made up, it might be untrue, it might be an untrue event. Like most of the movies we watch, they are not true. They are works of fiction. They are fictional works. But when we talk about non-fiction, non-fiction are events that happened in reality. So I'll go over it again. Fictional works or fiction are events that are not real, while non-fictional works are events that are real. Fiction, unreal, non-fictional, real. Do you understand now? So people said they don't understand. Do you understand now? I need to type this the words. Let me just quickly display it. So when we're talking about fiction, fictional works are unreal. That is, the passage is not real. Fiction, the passage is not real. Non-fiction, the passage is real. Do you understand now? Fiction, the passage is not real at all. But non-fiction, the writer is talking about things that happened in reality. Don't worry, you have the chance to go through this class again. I'm not going to delete the video. Are you with me? Are you with me, please? Do you understand now? I cannot see your messages. Okay, fine. You understand now. So let's continue. So for most passages in the JAMS or the UTME's use of English are fictional stories. That is, they are not real. Some are just set to address the current happenings in our society, while some talk about science and technology. Some talk about education, some about dictionary, some about war, some about law, different topics. That is why you need to have diverse knowledge. When I wrote my JAM or my UTME examination, I can't really recall. I presume I had a question on dictionary or so. Thank God I am a vast reader. I read so many things. So I could answer the questions very well. So So if you're someone here that you don't have interest in some other things like technology, social media, yes, they might even give you a comprehension passage on this on social media. They might give you a comprehension passage on the history of Nigeria. You might be given a comprehension passage the on life generally. It could be on education, it could be on census, it could be on the last election, it could be on Ebola virus, it could be on COVID-19. You don't know. So please sharpen your residual knowledge. You really need it. So once you know the whole logic, that answer. If you have prior knowledge about the passage, fine. But it will be another advantage for you if you know more about the passage and you now understand the setting and the time, the setting, which is the time, the the social environment and the place of the setting of the passage. Do you understand so far? I want us to move on. We have 5 more to go. I don't want this class to be long. Can we move on? So the other time I said your residual knowledge is needed, but at the same time, the writer or the author does not care what you think. The author does not care about what you think. The author does not care about what you think you know. Do you understand? The author does not really care about what you think you know to an extent. This is one of the reasons, or this is one of the main reasons a lot of candidates fail UTME's use of English. And due to that, they have a very low score in JAM. As a candidate, when you are faced with a passage, whatever the passage says is what you must give when the author asks you a relating question. I'll go over that again. Don't ask, please. Okay. Do not answer questions based on what you know alone. Answer your questions based on the passage. Answer your question based on the passage. Please, are you with me? I need to be sure. Some people are telling me in the comments that they don't understand, that they can't hear me. But my network is not breaking. My internet connection is quite secured. So let's just continue. So I would like to fasten things up now. So as a candidate, when you're faced with a passage, whatever the passage says is what you must give when you are answering the questions. Don't answer questions based on your perspective. Focus on the writer. Okay, someone is saying something in the comment section. She says, sign up says, I remembered a passage I once read. It's all about spacemanship. The passage says the space did not come with a manual and we have to take care of it like a modern day vehicle. Now, let's assume you want to argue that the space comes with a modern day manual. Let's assume you believe that the space comes with a modern day manual. The author is not interested in your thoughts. Rather, all your questions must come from the perspective of the writer. Now, let us say in a portion of a passage, we have this paragraph. Please quickly read through this paragraph. Quickly read through this paragraph in the next 30 seconds, 1 minute. It was desirable that we should meet both these requirements, and thus give to those choosing to attempt the summit and to their supporting teams some measure of insurance against the vagaries of weather. For safety in mountain climbing is as much as a matter of swiftness as of sureness of foot. Either or both could be achieved only by the administration of oxygen in sufficient quantities to make up for the deficiency in air, and the duration of the upward journey above the limit of successful acclimatization. Now, we have this passage. It's copied from a compression passage in JAMB 1979. The good thing is you don't need the complete passage to answer a good question. Each answer is buried in various paragraphs that makes of that makes up a passage. So please, can you tell me the answer of this question? I sent the passage. This is the passage. So please, what is the answer to the question? I have read the passage. I hope you did too. So what is the answer? So Zainab said that I thought the passage is talking about sheep, not knowing it was talking about health. Understanding the setting of a passage is key. Understanding the setting of a passage cannot be overemphasized. You need to understand the setting of a passage if you want to do well in your use of English. That is just the fact. You have to understand the setting. Now, the passage, the writer is talking about spacemanship, whereas inadvertently, the writer is referring to the head. So you need to understand how this works. Okay, I've seen two answers, C and B. We don't really have much time. The answer, what is the answer? Thank you. Keep your answers coming. So you can use this method. Gaze through the question, then go through the given options. Afterward, you can scan over the given passage, then choose what you think will be the correct option. Look at this. Although swiftness and sureness of foot are mentioned in the passage toward the end, you'll be you'll be wrong if you pick question D. These are question D. Yeah. The author believes that to overcome the problem of altitude and weather, the climber needs mainly, in the passage we talk about swiftness and sureness of foot, and we also talk about courage and speed and others. But if you are choosing D, your answer is wrong. Your answer is wrong. Let's continue. Look at the question again. The writer already said that both could be achieved only by the administration of oxygen in sufficient quantities to make up for the deficiency of in air. Now, what does the term both refer to? Look at the question again. Let's go back to the question. This is why I prefer live classes. You would have the chance to answer your questions live and learn as well. You can see either or both could be achieved only by the administration of oxygen in sufficient quantities to make up for the deficiency of air. We talk about both. Now, going back to the where we are, going back to where we have look at the question again. The altitude and weather, that is what I don't know why this thing is. That is what by the in sufficient quantities to make up for the deficiency of air. Do you understand? So the answer is C. The answer is C. The answer is not B or D. We have when an author when an author thank you. Someone said I also prefer the live classes. I prefer live classes really. If not for the network and some other factors, I preferred live classes. God's grace, next weekend from Friday to Sunday, we'll be having live classes. God helping us. So when an author asks you a question, the answer you must give is what is stated in the passage. And you must be very intelligent in determining your answer. Please do not be in a hurry to answer the questions. So you're getting closer to being intelligent when dealing with comprehension passages, and I know you're learning, but that is not enough. Let's move on to the next question. The next aspect. You must be well grounded in grammars. I mean to say grammar or vocabularies as they are well used in the passage. This is one of the most crucial and vital secrets I want you to understand. And that is not even because I'm a grammar coach, but it is the fact. If you want to understand and if you want to know how to do well in the comprehension passage, be your vocabulary usage must be top notch. I have a book on vocabulary and I'm writing another one as well. The author just want to confuse and hijack your understanding. That is why you see big words in your comprehension passages. Big words are there. And what are they there for? Just to confuse you. Just to confuse you. In a comprehension passage, the author uses grammar or vocabulary to confuse you and to hijack your understanding. That is the only thing they do. They just want to confuse you. They want to confuse your understanding. That is it. And in the passage I sent prior, it is easy for a candidate to get confused and not understand the writer's message because of the big words. Look at that passage. It is not easy to understand the passage. I know as a person, while reading through the passage, I knew because the words they are the words the writer used are too much. The big words are just there. They jam packed. The big words were jam packed to hijack your knowledge. Please, if this class is helpful, let me know in the comment section. You can also go to Sam Shane says big words are very deadly. They are deadly. They are deadly. Please, if you understand, let me know. If you're enjoying this class, if you're learning, let me know in the comment section. Let me know, please. They will use big words to confuse you. That is the only reason for that. That is the only reason. They want to confuse you. Please go to the group if you're online, if you can, to tell others to join the class, that the class is really helpful. I am not very happy that out of 840 something students, only 45 students joined the class. Well, it is well. I am glad you are enjoying it. So, Oladele says the big words is killing me in understanding the passage. I am sorry about that. It is frustrating. But as I have said earlier, the only thing they want to do is just to hijack your understanding. They want to confuse your confusion. Let's be factual. Most people are confused already. You are agitated, you're in a class, you're in the exam hall, you don't even know what to expect. And these people are there with their big words. Or Brendan says, I was surprised some answer the questions very fast because I was trying to understand the language, the passage. See, you have to be swift. You have to be swift. You know, I told you, I gave you a tip already that what you need to do is to use the words of the writer. The words of the writer. Don't use your residual knowledge. The words of the writer. Most of the answers are already included in the passages. Do you understand? So the big words are there to confuse your confusion. You're already confused. You're already confused. You're agitated that you have an exam where you're expected to answer up to 180 questions within 2 hours. You have 180 questions to answer within 2 hours. You are there struggling, struggling, struggling. Hmm? And they are packed, the writer has packed different vocabulary for you, different words for you, and you are confused. Zainab says, even at times, please drop your thoughts in the comment section. We are here to discuss and learn. Even at times when the vocabularies are packed together, I I just don't make attempts to read it again because I don't understand. Please don't do that. Read it. Read it. Because if you don't read it, you are going to lose your marks. So you have to read. You have to read. So the when understand the fact that, oh, sorry Juwon, sorry about that. So when you understand the fact that the words they use in the words the writer used is are just there for you, are just there to confuse you, to hijack your understanding. The earlier you have that premonition, the better for you. Do you understand? When you know that, okay, fine, I want to go and write this exam, and the big words are much, they want to confuse me. Tell it in your mind, I will not be confused. I will not be confused. Then you calm down, read the passage. When you are calm while reading the passage, you will not be confused. Even if you don't know the words, you will not be confused. This has worked for me. So especially in the antonyms and synonyms. Don't worry, we are going to have a class on antonyms and synonyms. I am going to teach you context clues. Context clues. How you can use, even if you don't understand the meaning of a word, how you can use the context, the environment, other words, how you can use other words to understand the meaning of the words. I'm going to teach you. So Temiloluwa says, what if you don't know the meaning of some words? What will you do with the almighty words? Don't worry, we are going to get there. Context clues. Context. When the words are packed together, the tension will be too much. I know, but you have to calm yourself. You have to calm yourself down. Those big words are like stumbling blocks. As if you are cracking puzzles, sometimes it gets frustrating. It will be frustrating. That is what they want to do. Look at you. They want to frustrate you. They want to hijack your understanding. You shouldn't let them win. That is just the fact. That's just the fact. The tension of the exam and the words are too much, so I won't read. Read. What is yes? Hey, some people are funny. You have to read. I have stopped reading some books because of vocabularies. Why do you have your dictionary? Aside from the online dictionaries that I have a big Cambridge University dictionary that I bought for close to 5,000 that I'm using here. Once you don't understand problem, explaining through the way they are using a sentence, that is where you're making a mistake. You can decipher I'm going to your comments now. You can decipher the meaning of words through their environment. I'm going to teach you that. Don't worry. In fact, seriously, I am confused when they use big words. I'll start crying. You don't have to cry. You don't have to cry, rather. I'm going to teach you. Don't worry. I'm going to teach you context clues, so you won't have any problem. Thank you. Dictionaries. Sometimes, oh my god, I can't stop laughing. Sometimes you get depressed in the examination, or you don't have to be depressed. No, 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 no. You don't have to be depressed. Really, you don't have to. You don't. Yeah. I do that a lot. I use other words around the passage to understand the grammar. But sometimes it doesn't work for me. I end up wasting so much time on a single question. Don't worry. Please remind me on the group that I want to learn context clues. So when we learn that context clues, you are going to learn how to use context clues to answer questions in the JAM's use of English. And at the same time, we'll be learning how to answer questions on synonyms and antonyms. So I'm going to teach you context clues. Don't worry. I do read with dictionary by my side, but it is distracting. I won't lie to you. That is why you need to know how you can use your context clues. Ah, look at this question. Is it a must you read the passage before you answer it? Hey. Oh my god. This question is very funny. It is a must. Why will you answer a comprehension passage? Why you answer questions under a comprehension passage without reading the passage? What do you want to answer? Oh my god. Comprehension passage has been my greatest problem, but your guidelines are worth understanding. Thank you. I appreciate you. So moving on. When you have this in your mind that the writer wants to confuse you, then you will not your mind will be at peace. You will tell yourself that I won't be confused, then you'll be good to go. Village people will bring answers. Questions. How would that work? It won't work. It will never work. So moving on, we have in the passage I sent prior, it is easy for a candidate to get confused and not understand the writer's message. How many of you got confused? A candidate who is not conversant with vocabularies will be unable to deal with comprehension passages. So henceforth, you must begin studying new words as much as you can. Study new vocabularies that you can cover before the exam. If you can learn 10 new words per day, it is not bad. Do you understand? Try to understand the flow of words. There is no comprehension passage which you will not find the English which will not find the words used in the English vocabulary. That is the fact. All the words used in a comprehension passage are in the dictionary. They are in the English vocabulary. That's the fact. Sometimes candidates pick words that are big and difficult to understand as their answer, and it works at times. Oh, look at this. Hey, I am so ah. Let me sip my water. Let me sip my water gently over here. Sometimes candidates pick words that are big and difficult to understand as their answers, and it works. It doesn't work all the time. Someone said ADA, BA, BA, CAC, Ada Baba CAC. Hey, I don't want to laugh. I used to confuse, and these things happened to me. This thing happened to me yesterday when I was dealing with some past question in English. Studying new words when you still have fixes. Let me tell you something. You can study new words 10 per day. It depends on how dedicated you are. If you attribute 5 minutes studying 10 words per day, just understanding the meaning of the words, you are good to go. You don't have to spend 20 hours or 20 minutes on each words. That is a fact. What you don't know is that your understanding of English will help you in your while answering other questions. Why do you think the board, the jump board, or whatever we want to call them, UTME board, they added English as a compulsory subject? Because they know that your understanding of the English language will help you to understand other questions. If the English language, if the use of English is not important, you won't be having the exam. That is just the fact. So please take it seriously. Oh, it is so sad. You can do it. You can do it. You can do it. Don't get sad and confused. So let's move on. If you are good with words, you will be able to relate well with the questions. See, one thing, as a person, I don't know all the words that exist in the English language. That is the fact. Even as a coach, I do not know all the words that exist in the English language. But let me tell you something. as I am, there is no book, there is no writing piece that I will read that I will not understand. I read a book recently. The title of the book is Never Look an American in the Eye by Indibe. That book, gosh, the writer is a Nigerian American. That book is full of different vocabulary. And I asked for some other people, they said they don't even understand what the writer wrote. But I understood. There are some words I can say, like 80, 70% of the words of some of the big words used in that book. I've never met them, but I understand them. Why? Because I have a good understanding of the English language. I am good with words. I know a lot of words. I can really relate. So when I teach you context clues, you should be able to answer words without stress. You should answer questions without stress, rather. So your understanding of words will help you to understand the author's questions and the given context. It doesn't even matter if you have seen the words already. Do you understand? The craziest thing, it might be a repeated comprehension passage. Don't deceive yourself. I've never seen JAMB repeat a comprehension passage. Ah, someone said, can you help us with 10 vocabularies to learn every day? This class I'm even having, it is by the grace of God. I ought to be studying personally now. So I can't assure you. Ah, I can't assure you. I can't assure you. But I'll try. Maybe when we come back to our group. So Safa says, do we need to read every word in the dictionary line by line before one understand the vocabulary? No. That is why we are going to learn context clues. If you are feeling sleepy, I don't know what to say to you. Yes, this works also. When you come across a new word that you've never used before, you can write them down and check out their meanings later. So, in short, improve your dictionary, your vocabulary, develop your vocabulary. So, the fourth secret, we have just two more to go. You must understand the main idea of that passage first. When you understand the main idea of the passage, you will be able to answer the question. Now, to achieve this, you must use the 3Q SQ 3R reading method. I'll give you this method. SQ 3R reading method. Yes, knowing the prefixes and suffixes also help. So you might come across a question in JAM compression passage that will ask you, what is the main idea of this passage? Have you ever come across that question before? I've told you this English exam, what they want to do is just to confuse your confusion, nothing else. So you might come across a question in JAM comprehension passage that will ask you, what is the meaning of this passage? And without an iota of doubt, you are very likely to get the question of this nature wrong, unless you know what the passage is talking about. If you don't know what the passage is talking about, you fail the questions. So we are going to use the SQ3R reading method now. So let me explain what that SQ3R reading method is. What does that mean and how do you use it? SQ3R method. SQ3R is an acronym that is explained below as survey, question, read, recite, and review. Yes, they can also ask you to rename the passage. That is one of the most ridiculous questions they ask. One of the most ridiculous questions they ask in the JAM conversion passage. They want to confuse your confusion. The writer is confusing your confusion. That is the fact. So SQ3R. S stands for survey. Please put in the comment section. Let's be fast. Let's be fast with this, rather. Let's be fast. I need to end this broadcast in the next 20 minutes. Don't miss that context clue class. If you miss it, you're on your own. S stands for survey. Please put in the comment section. Q stands for question. 3R. R for read. R for recite. R for review. So S survey, Q question, R read, R recite, R review. So let us move on. Using this technique, you will be able to understand any passage and know where the main idea is if you use this technique. Please, I would recommend that you use this strategy when you get to the exam hall. And before you get to the exam hall, please practice this strategy. While you are studying, while you are having your personal study, when you want to answer a question, a comprehension passage, all the things I've been teaching you, please practice them. And this is how you use this 3 SQ 3 hour method. Number one, survey. That is another way to say scan through the passage. Scanning gives you a quick grasp of what the passage is about. Like, what tone? Is the tone of anger? Is the tone of happiness? And the style, or what the writer is telling you. You don't have to waste time. Just use 30 seconds, 40 seconds to go through it for the first time. You don't have to waste your time on survey. When I say survey, you just quickly go through it, glance through it, scan. Don't use up to 1 hour, 1 minute when you are surveying. When you survey, it gives you the opportunity to know what the writer is talking about. It gives you the message prior to the time you start answering the questions. Q, which is the rule 2. Ask yourself questions from the idea you got from the passage the first time of your scanning. See, these things, I'm not saying you should use 30 minutes for your conventional passage. This is what if your speed is fast, this is what you can do within 30 seconds. Let's assume you read a passage on education. You can quickly ask yourself, you scan through a passage on education, you can quickly ask yourself, what is this passage talking about? What is the meaning of this thing? What have I just scanned through? That is what you do in your question. So, for instance, ask yourself what idea is the author trying to say? What do I really need to know about this topic? And this technique will open your brain, which will lead you to answer the questions rightly. To the next one, we have read. Then, after your survey and your scanning should not take you up to 1 minute or 30, 40 seconds if you are very fast. That is why you need to time yourself. When I wrote my jam, I answered all the questions. Let me burst your bubble. I prepared for my jam, my UTME exam for less than 1 week. God have mercy on me. I was working then as a full-time teacher, so I don't even have time to read. So I prepared for my jam with less than 2 weeks. Let me just like 250. Yes, I joined. All my friends is telling me recently that you can assimilate fastly, you can read fastly. So I can't compare myself with you. But that's the fact. I was not always a fast reader. But when I started reading many novels, I became a fast reader. So you have to be fast. Your scanning and your question should not take you 1 minute. Now, after scanning and questioning yourself within like 5 seconds or 10 seconds, you can now read the full passage, but you have to put the structure of the passage based on how you first scanned it and the question in rule 2 at the back of your mind. You have to read it. You've scanned it. You've known what the passage is all about already, but you have to now read. You have to read the passage. Try to see if you can understand the passage. I recommend you reading the passage just once. I see some people reading a passage 5 times. The highest time you should read a passage is maybe 2 times because you don't have time. And that is why you have to work on your speed. Read your passage like 2 times. Read your passage like 2 times or 1 times or 1 time rather. So the next can you hear me please? So people are saying network in the comments. Okay. Please fix your network. You can come back to this video later. So recite. The next thing you need to do now is to recite the main point you've gathered. I'm not saying you should be shouting in the exam hall. So people are very bad when it comes to reading. So because you've understand the passage, you're not shouting. And this number one passage is no, don't do that. Quickly recite the main point. Let's assume, please, Zainab, we'll get to the questioning part. Let me just quickly explain this. You've scanned, you've questioned yourself, and you've read. You quickly recite. When you're scanning, you have an idea, but you're not really sure. But after reading, you have the main idea. Then you can quickly speak out, or in your paper, you can quickly scribble the main the whole passage. But before you review the passage, you can go through the questions. You can go to the questions. Do you understand? Go to the questions before you review. You've read the passage, you've recited, you've known the main point, then you now go back to the question. After going back to the question, then you can review. You can answer your questions. So that is it on the SQL. Once you do all this, try to attempt the questions. That is all is there to know at this stage. But I must say that the main idea does not emanate from the first passage, from the first paragraph. At times the main idea, the first paragraph most times just introduce the main idea. But by the time you read the second paragraph, the third paragraph, the fourth paragraph, depending on the length, then you can now understand what the passage is about. So that is it on this. So moving on to number 5, we'll be done in a few minutes. I told you I want us to be done very soon. In some cases, your residual knowledge is needed to answer some given questions on the passages. I told you that the writer does not need what you know, but at times, sometimes your residual knowledge is needed. So apart from the fact that the author expects you to answer questions based on what the passage says, there are times when your residual knowledge, which means what you know before is needed, as long as it does not stand as opposite of what the writer says. When you are using your residual knowledge, you must make sure your residual knowledge is aligning with what the writer is saying. Do you understand? So, erstwhile, you will need more intuitive thinking to understand questions that you obviously must have known the answer. So your ability to think and reason logically matters. Yeah, you can easily come back to this place. So this question below is from Jam Past Questions, and it comes from a passage from the Jam Past Questions. Foremost, now the first paragraph. Let's quickly read this. Everyone, oh, I missed this. Ah, what is this? Ah, I missed this slide. I missed this slide. Oh, what is this? There's a particular question I want us to answer, and I have missed. I guess I missed the slide. Let me quickly check. I missed the slide. I am pained. I am very pained. Oh, I missed the slide. How did I do this? But let me see if I can read out the question to you. But if you understand so far, let me know. Let me see if I can read. I can read the question. I'm coming. Please give me a minute. Yes. Now, listen. I'll read the question. I'll read the passage. Please listen. Can I go on? Please listen. Can I go on? Can I go on, please? I want to read the passage. We will end this class in the next 10 minutes or 5 minutes. Can I go on? Can I go on? Can I go on, please? Okay, so I'll read it. Listen. So far, I have been speaking of science in its universality, viewed from the perspective of the world at large. Please listen to this comprehension passage that I'm reading. I forgot to add it to the slide. I added it to the slide. I don't know how it disappeared. So far, I have been speaking of science in its universality, viewed from the perspective of the world at large. For in the context of our own country and our sister developing countries, many of the factors mentioned earlier are not very important. For example, pollution, deterioration of the environment, and population explosion are not serious problems for us in this country. Now, the question is now, the term our sister developing country implies, I'm coming, I will drop that in the comment section. I'm so pained. Now, this is the question. I have read the comprehension passage. I will read it again. So far, I have been speaking of science in its universality, viewed from the perspective of the world at large. For in the context of our home country and our sister developing countries, many of the factors mentioned earlier are not very important. For example, pollution, deterioration of the environment, and population explosion are not serious problem for us in this country. Now, the term sister developing country refers to A, Britain, 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 and and Canada. I'll just give you other examples. I can't really do much. B, Ghana and Germany. C, Russia and Switzerland. D, Liberia and Gabon. D, China, China and India. So I have read the passage, or let me just drop the comprehension passage on the group. But I'm not sure if a lot of people will be chanced to go through it since we are on this live broadcast together. And the network is even bad. My phone's network is very bad. I'm using my Wi-Fi, but I don't want to connect the Wi-Fi. If I should connect the Wi-Fi, you won't hear what I'm saying again. Okay, almost everyone has responded, so there is no need for that. So good. D, you can see that your residual knowledge is needed. Your residual knowledge is needed. Hmm? Your residual knowledge is needed. The answer is D. In this very question, in this very question, none of these countries in the options got mentioned in the passage. Do you understand? In this passage that I read out, none of the countries were mentioned. But our sisters developing countries was used. So will you say that China, USA, Britain are developing country? No, they are developed country. So this is where your residual knowledge is required. Normally, it is obvious that all African countries are developing countries, but the only option D as Syria, as Liberia and Gabon. And these are countries, African countries that are as sister. That is where you need to really use your residual knowledge. The person saying this thing is from Nigeria. So which country are the sisters of Nigeria? Is it USA or China? No, but other African countries, Liberia and Gabon. So don't forget to that most of the passages you will meet in JAM will require your earliest knowledge. So you have to study so many past questions as you can in wild range in a few minutes. The given options in a passage will be confusing at times. All you have to do is to look for the main idea of the question before answering. That is why it is very important. I told you that you must know the main idea of your passage before you answer the question. Hey, is this question coming out in JAM? No, I just gave you an example. I am not, I do not give JAM Expo and I don't work for JAM. I'm just teaching you generally. Please don't castigate me and I don't want problem for my life. These questions will not come out. I'm just giving you examples. I don't work for JAM. I don't sell expos. This is funny. So you must scrutinize the passage before attempting any question. Most times, with the help of the given options, you will know the paragraph to get your answer from. That is just the fact. With the help of the given options, you should be able to know the paragraphs your answers will come from. And this is a bonus point. To be very good at answering comprehension passages, the most important secret I must give you is your success depends on how many passages you study and understand before the exam. So do not do not limit you do not limit your understanding to this. Immediately you end this class, I should give you an assignment, and I'll try to give you an assignment as well on comprehension passage. We are going to have some questions on comprehension passages by the weekend, maybe on Sunday. Read and answer questions on comprehension passages and make use of everything you've learned here. So don't practice everything I have taught you here alone in the exam hall. Some people, they will not practice. When they now get to the exam hall, they'll not be thinking, hey, Coach Samantha gave us one formula, SQ3R. Hey, what is that SQ3R? No, practice now. So that when you get to the exam hall, it will be easier for you. I guess we've come to the end of today's class. Thank you for watching. Do you have any questions? Please ask as I round off tonight's section. I enjoyed myself. I enjoyed this session, and I hope you do as well. Do you have any questions in the next 2 minutes? I'll end this live broadcast at exactly 1:25. Do you learn anything from this class? Do you learn anything from this class? All right, thank you, Zainab. Give it to me. I collect it with my full chest. Don't complain that it is late. So if you want to leave, you leave. Other people that want to stay will stay. I'll give you a minutes in the next 2 minutes. Because I this podcast, I have something to eat. Before the class, I thought I would get something to eat outside, but unluckily for me, what I wanted to buy has been exhausted, so I had to come back home. Jamb is fond of giving two closely related answers in a question. Yeah, that is true. That is why you need to understand in-depthly what your the main idea of the passage is. Do you understand? That is why you need to understand the main idea of the passage and as well understand the question. You have to understand the question. Read your instructions. Some people they don't even read the instructions. The question might tell you which of the following is not part of the so. But because you did not read the question, which of the following part of the so did not you've sent them away. So please read your questions and understand. In the next 30 seconds, I will end this class. If you have any questions, please ask. If you're watching the replay, please put hashtag replay in the comment section. Then you can come back to the group to ask your questions. Thank you all for joining the class. I hope you learned from this class. Although the network was not favorable at the beginning, but we give God the glory. Thank you all for joining. Thank you all for watching. Again, I am Samantha Lazarus and I am your English and writing coach. I wish you success. Bye.